corridor was quiet. It's not silent, but quiet in a way that felt heavy. It was that strange silence between takes, when the lights stayed on, but the cameras rested. People walked by softly, carrying coffee or laughter or scripts, but everything felt like it was waiting. Keanu Reeves leaned against the wall just outside the soundstage, his arms crossed, eyes focused on nothing. He wasn't on the call sheet for this scene. He just stayed. Then it happened. A small sound. Soft. A delicate click followed by a rolling scratch across the smooth floor. His head turned slowly. It's no rush, but something inside him pulled his attention. Something small and bright had dropped near the edge of the hallway. He stepped forward, just 1 foot, and saw it. A necklace. Gold. Thin like a whisper. A tiny charm shimmered in the light. He didn't touch it. Instead, he looked up. Ana de Armas stood frozen a few feet away. She hadn't noticed it had fallen. Her hand was still at her chest, fingers brushing over empty skin. Her eyes were distant. She looked like she hadn't slept. Or maybe she had slept too much, but hadn't rested at all. Keanu bent down gently, as if the necklace was a bird's wing. He picked it up like it could shatter in his hands. Then he stood still, waiting for her to notice. And when she did, something strange happened. Her eyes widened, not just because she saw him holding the necklace, but because of the way he held it. Like it meant something. Like he understood something she hadn't said. "This yours?" he asked, his voice barely more. Then breath. She nodded but didn't move. He didn't hand it over. Not yet. Instead, he looked at the charm. A tiny seashell, hand-carved, imperfect. "This means something to you," he said. Ana swallowed. The hallway felt smaller, warmer, full of things unsaid. "It was my mother's," she whispered. "I wear it every day. No, I never take it off. Except, ... I guess it fell." Keanu's eyes didn't leave hers. "You want to sit down for a second?" She nodded again, this time slower. He gestured toward the small bench by the wall. They both sat, the necklace still in his hand, resting. Gently in his open palm, like he was waiting for her to be ready. "I almost didn't come in today," she said after a long silence. "I didn't feel like ... being anything. You ever have days like that?" He nodded quiet. "I thought if I smiled hard enough no one would notice," she added, "but I guess everything knows. Even this necklace." She reached for it slowly. Her fingers touched his. He didn't pull away. "Thank you," she said. Keanu looked down at her hand. He held it like it was home. Ana blinked fast. Her breath caught. "I dropped home," she said softly. "And you caught it." The sentence broke something in both of them. And then, for the first time in that entire long day, she smiled. Not the kind of smile they film, the kind that slips out when something true happens. Keanu leaned back slightly. "You want to talk about it?" Ana hesitated, and nodded. What came next wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was two people in a hallway, talking like the world had gotten quiet just for them. She told him things. Not everything, but enough. About her mother, about the move, about the pressure, the fear. How pretending to be strong sometimes feels harder than actually being weak. He didn't interrupt. He didn't try to fix it. He just stayed. And every time her voice wavered, his presence stayed steady, like a stone underwater. The crew passed by. No one stopped them. No one interrupted. It was as if the universe knew something important was happening, something invisible but real. When she finished, she looked at the necklace again. It rested now on her palm. "I used to think strength was about holding everything together," she said. "But maybe it's about knowing when you've dropped something and letting someone help you pick it up." Keanu smiled. Not wide, not showy, just soft and kind. "I think strength is knowing what's worth picking up slowly." They sat in silence for a while longer. Ana's phone buzzed. She checked it. It was the assistant director calling her back to set. She looked at Keanu. "Thank you," she said again, this time with more weight. He nodded, then added something just before she stood up. "If it ever falls again, I'll be around." She blinked again. "Why?" His voice stayed calm. "Because you didn't notice the fall, but I did." Anna walked back toward the stage and Keanu watched her go, but he didn't leave. Not yet. He sat there for a little while longer, like he was holding space for something invisible. And in that quiet hallway, air felt softer somehow, almost like the necklace had changed everything. The room was filled with sound now. Lights hung low, cameras reset, voices called out directions. But Keanu Reeves still heard it. Not the actual sound of the necklace falling, but something quieter. Something in Anna's voice when she said, "I." Dropped home, stayed with him like a whisper he couldn't unhear. Anna was on set again, standing in costume. Her posture looked perfect, her lines practiced, her smile shaped by muscle memory. But Keanu watched with a different kind of focus, the kind that saw past the lights, past the performance. She stumbled once, only slightly. No one else seemed to notice, but he did. And she saw that he noticed. The scene ended. Applause scattered weakly. Someone shouted, "Cut!" Everyone moved like a clock being wound back up. Anna walked off set and straight to the corner. Rushed. Not hiding, just retreating. Like her feet were carrying more than her body, Keanu walked over. Slowly. "You okay?" he asked, keeping his voice low. "I thought I was," she said, "till I wasn't. You want to talk here?" Anna shook her head. Too many eyes. He looked around and nodded toward the black curtain near the prop room. They stepped behind it. Everything outside muffled instantly. Like the curtain swallowed sound, they stood close, but not too close. The space between them held a strange stillness. Not awkward. Just ... Tender. "I used to hate silence," Anna said suddenly. "When I was little, I filled it with music. Or stories. Or noise. Anything. And now?" Keanu asked. "Now I crave it. But I still don't know what to do when it finds me." He listened. "It's been hard," she said. "Not just today. Not just the shoot. Life lately. I thought if I kept going, I'd outrun it. But it followed me." Keanu didn't speak right away. Then he said, "You can't outrun what's inside. But you can walk with it." She looked at him. "Walk with it?" He nodded. Double quotes. "Sometimes that's the only way forward." Anna sat down on a low box behind the curtain. Her hands trembled slightly. She reached up, touched the necklace again. Sat against her collarbone now. Safe. But something inside her still didn't feel safe. "When did you stop pretending to be fine?" she asked him. He paused, thought carefully, then said, "When I realized being honest was the only thing that healed." Anna looked at him like his words were water, like they filled something empty inside her and did it heal. She whispered, "Not all at once," he replied. "Some days still ache, but at least I know I'm not alone in it." They sat in that quiet together. The curtain moved slightly with the studio air. It felt like a cocoon, a place where masks didn't exist. "You remind me of my mother," Anna said softly. "Not how you look, but how you listen. How you make silence feel like a friend." Keanu blinked, then smiled faintly. "That's kind of the best compliment I've ever gotten." She let out a small laugh, the kind that cracked through a heavy cloud. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled out a folded note. "She gave this to me before she passed," Anna said. "I've never read it. I was scared." "Scared of what?" he asked gently. "Scared of what it might say?" Or not say scared, it would hurt more. Keanu didn't push. He waited. Anna stared at the note in her hand. Her fingers curled around it like it was made of fire. "Will you sit with me while I open it?" she asked. He didn't even need to answer. He just sat down beside her. The silence returned. But this time it wasn't empty. It was sacred. Anna unfolded the note, slowly. Each crease felt like a breath held too long. Her eyes scanned the page. Then, filled with tears, Keanu didn't look over her shoulder. He just waited. She wrote. Anna whispered, "I see you, even when the world doesn't. I love you, even when you forget how to love yourself." Her voice cracked. "She knew," Anna said. "She knew I'd need to hear that ... someday." Keanu reached out and gently placed his hand over hers, not to fix anything, Not to take anything away, just to be there. Anna folded the note again, but this time she didn't hide it. She placed it beside her on the box like it was something to be shared, not buried. I always thought grief was supposed to be loud, she said, but it's been so quiet. Some grief hides in silence, Keanu replied. Some waits for you to slow down. Anna looked up, tears still in her eyes. I don't know how to keep acting like I'm okay. Then don't, he said. But everyone expects me to be strong. Strength isn't pretending, it's showing up anyway. Anna took a deep breath. For the first time that day, it felt like she could breathe all the way in. Then the assistant director called out from across the studio. Anna, we need you in 5. She stood up slowly. Her body moved with more softness now. Not because everything was better. Because something had shifted inside her, she turned to Keanu. Thank you. Not just for listening. 4. It's seeing me. Keanu stood too. If you ever need a curtain in a quiet moment, I'll be around. Anna smiled. She turned and walked out into the studio lights again. But this time, she didn't walk alone. Behind her, inside her. Something had stayed, and behind the curtain. Keanu remained for just a second longer, letting the silence settle. He looked down, at the spot where the note had been, and then quietly he smiled. Because sometimes, just sometimes, the world gives you a chance to hold someone else's story and treat it like glass. The day moved on like it always does. Scenes shifted, lights reset, lines rehearsed. But for Anna, everything felt different now. It wasn't louder or quieter, just heavier. Like the space around her remembered what she'd said behind the curtain. Like the room carried it with her. She stood near the director's chair, reading over her next lines. Her hands were steady now, but her chest still carried something sharp and soft all at once. Grief does that. It lets you breathe, then reminds you you're still broken in places. Keanu walked by. Not fast, not lingering either. It's just close enough to let her know he hadn't drifted. She looked up. You always walk like you know exactly where not to. Steppy smiled. Learned it from the quiet. They didn't need to say much. That was the strange part. The silence between them was full, not empty. It spoke for them. It reminded them that being present was sometimes louder than any word. Anna's phone buzzed. A message from her agent. More press, more expectations, and more fake smiles waiting outside. The set. I wish the world gave me a minute, she muttered. It won't, Keanu said, but you can give it to yourself. Howie paused, then reached into his back pocket and pulled out a small folded cloth. Inside was something old, worn, a coin. This is from my first film set, he said. Someone gave it to me when I was scared and didn't want to admit it. Told me to keep it with me every time I wanted to disappear. Yana held it in her hand. It was heavy. Not because of its size, because of its memory. Does it work? She asked. Only if you believe you're worth staying. That hit harder than she expected. You think I'm worth staying? Yes, he said simply. Even when you think you're not. She didn't return the coin. Instead, she closed her fingers around it. Tight. You ever want to quit? She asked all the time. And what stopped you? He looked straight at her. Someone who listened. She nodded slowly. Can I ask you something? She whispered, anything. Why me? Keanu didn't blink, didn't flinch, because you were breaking and pretending you weren't. I've done that. It looks like. Anna swallowed hard. Then she said something she hadn't said to anyone in months. I've been having panic attacks. Keanu sat beside her without a word. They come without warning, she continued. Sometimes on set, sometimes alone. Sometimes in the middle of a crowd when everyone's smiling and I feel like I'm floating above myself. And no one knows, he asked. No. Because I'm afraid if they do, I'll be seen as weak, or dramatic, or replaceable. He stayed quiet for a moment, then said, you're none of those things. You're human. Her shoulders dropped. I feel like I'm walking on glass. Then walk slowly, he said, and let someone walk beside you. She looked at the coin in her hand again. Do you believe people can heal? She asked, double quotes, yes, but not by hiding. The words hung between them. Then Anna leaned back in her chair. She took a deep breath. Not the kind actors take before a scene. The kind people take when they decide not to run anymore. You know, she said, "You're not what I expected." What did you expect? Someone unreachable. Someone too famous to notice someone like me. Maybe that's the problem with expectations. She smiled, but her eyes were still wet. The crew began calling her for the next take as she stood. Keanu reached out and gently touched the edge of the necklace around her neck. Not to grab it, just to make sure it was still there. "Don't forget this time," he said. "I won't," she replied. But before she walked away, she turned. "Will you be here when I'm done?" "I'll wait," he said. "You don't have to ask," Anna nodded, and then walked toward the lights. This time, her steps were slow, careful, like she wasn't rushing to escape something behind her. Keanu sat quietly, the world around him moved, but he didn't, because sometimes the most powerful thing you can give someone is stillness, and behind the scenes, far from the noise, something real was forming. Not a romance, not a rescue, just two people finding something true in each. Other something like trust, something like healing, something like hope. Anna stood on her mark. Lights above her hummed softly, and the set around her looked perfect, just like the script. But inside, nothing felt perfect. Her heart thudded in her chest, not from nerves about the scene, but from everything that was behind the curtain. The silence.
Ow.
The coin still warm in her pocket. And Keanu, the director, called action, and the cameras rolled. She said her lines, hit her cues, smiled when she needed to, cried when it was written. What the tears that came weren't acting anymore. It came from somewhere real. The kind that couldn't be faked, not even in front of trained eyes. The moment the scene ended, the crew clapped. The director called it beautiful. People moved on like nothing unusual had happened. But Keanu knew. He watched from the shadows, just outside the camera frame. He saw the way her fingers stayed near the necklace. How she clutched the coin in her pocket like it was a lifeline. She walked off set slowly, still half inside the character, half inside her own storm. "How was it?" Kano asked as she passed. "They said it was perfect," she whispered. "But I wasn't acting." He nodded. "Sometimes that's the truest performance." They walked together without saying much, back to the hallway, near the same bench where it all began. She sat down first this time. "My mother was an actress," she said, her voice low. "Not a famous one, not on big screens. But she loved it, and when she died, I promised myself I'd go farther than she ever could. But lately, I don't even know who I'm doing this for." Keanu sat beside her. He didn't interrupt. "I miss her so much it burns," Anna said. "And no one sees it. They see the roles, the red carpets, the magazines. But they don't see the girl who still cries in her car after the day ends." Keanu looked at her. "I see her." Anna blinked, as if trying to hold back more tears. "I don't want to quit," she said. "But I don't want to pretend anymore either." Keanu leaned back, resting his arms on the bench. "There's a middle ground," he said. "Called being honest." She let out a small laugh through her nose. "You make it sound easy." "No," he said gently. "But it's worth it." A moment passed. Then Anna said, "Do you ever feel like everything people think about you isn't really you?" Keanu took a slow breath. "All the time." "How do you live with that?" "By finding one or two people who really know me. That's enough." Anna looked down at her hands. "Maybe I've been chasing applause when what I needed was someone to sit beside me after the lights go off." "You have that now?" he said quietly. They sat in stillness again, and then she pulled out her phone, not to scroll, not to post, but to do something she'd avoided for months. She opened her voice notes and began to speak into it. "Dear Mom," she began. "I dropped your necklace last week, and it felt like everything I've been carrying broke open. But someone picked it up, and he didn't just hand it back, he stayed." Keanu looked away to give her space. "But he stayed," Anna continued, her voice steady now. "I think grief isn't about forgetting. It's about learning to carry love without losing yourself. And maybe, just maybe, I'm ready to carry it now. She hit stop, then whispered, I've been trying to say that for years. Keanu turned toward her, his face calm. You just did. They stood up slowly, not rushed. Anna looked at the hallway, the lights, the floor where the necklace had first fallen. That tiny sound, she said, that changed everything. Keanu nodded. The smallest sounds carry the deepest meaning. They walked back toward the dressing rooms. Anna stopped just before her door. You ever wonder why people cross paths? She asked. Every day, he said. And what do you think the answer is? He thought for a long time before replying. Maybe we're just puzzle pieces trying to remind each other we're not lost. Anna reached for the necklace again, but this time she didn't check to see if it was there. She knew it was, and she knew something else. Too, that someone had seen her fall and didn't walk away, and that made all the difference. The next morning came quietly. No call sheet yet. No cameras waiting. Just sunlight sliding through the windows of Anna's small apartment. The kind of light that didn't rush you. The kind that made you breathe slower. Anna stood in the kitchen, barefoot, holding her coffee cup like it was the only thing grounding her. The necklace laid gently on her chest, and the coin Keanu gave her sat by the sink. She'd slept with both near her like they were anchors, pieces of calm in a sea she hadn't learned to swim in. Her phone buzzed. A message from Keanu, coffee later. No stage. Just real life. She smiled. The smallest one. It's the kind that wasn't for anyone else. Just her. She typed back. Yes, thank you. The coffee shop wasn't far. Tucked between an old bookstore and a tiny flower stand. No one recognized them. Or if they did, no one cared. There were no cameras, no whispers, no eyes trying to capture anything. Just two people at a corner table. Steam rising between them, Anna looked at Keanu, and for a moment, it felt strange how normal this felt. This is the first time I've felt like myself in months, she said. Maybe this is who you've been all along, Keanu replied. Just waiting for quiet. She sipped her drink slowly. You know what's strange? She asked. What? People think the stage is the hardest part. But it's the silence after the applause. When you go home and no one's clapping anymore, that's when the loneliness really hits. Keanu leaned forward. You know that silence. Anna nodded. I used to fill it with noise. Music, parties, distractions, but none of it helped. What helps now? He asked. She didn't answer right away then. She said, You listening? That helps. Keanu didn't say anything, just looked at her like he was still listening. Like his presence itself was a promise. Do you ever feel like you carry too many stories? She asked. Other people's. Your own. Memories. Things you never said. All the time, what do you do with them? I try to give them space. Anna tilted her head. Space. Yeah, Keanu said. Like here. This moment. Giving your story a place to rest. She blinked. Her hand went to the necklace again. And for the first time, she didn't hold it out of fear. She held it like a memory that was finally safe. My mother used to say, Anna whispered, if someone ever holds your pain without flinching, don't let them go. Keanu looked down at his coffee. Then you've got me. The words weren't romantic. They weren't loud. They were steady. Real. Anna smiled, but it was different now. Not because she was fixed, not because she was whole, but because she was finally seen. I don't know what happens next, she said. Me neither, he replied. But we don't have to know. You think people will understand this? Us? She asked softly. They don't have to, he said. We do. They finished their drinks in silence. But it wasn't empty. It was the kind of silence that wraps around you like a blanket when the world feels too sharp. Outside the shop, the air was cooler. The city moved fast again. People hurried past, phones buzzed, cars honked. But for Anna, everything felt slower, gentler. You heading to set? She asked. Not today, he said. I told them I needed a morning. You took a morning for me? Oh, Keanu said. I took a morning for us. Anna paused. Thank you. He looked at her. I didn't do much. You did enough, she said. Sometimes that's everything. They stood at the corner where they'd part ways for now. Before she walked off, Keanu said, Can I ask you something? Anything. Next time you feel like disappearing, will you call me instead? She nodded. I will. They didn't hug. They didn't make a scene. They just stood there for a breath longer than necessary. And then she walked away. Keanu watched her go with a kind of quiet hope, not because she was fixed, but because she was finally carrying herself with honesty, and because he knew she wasn't walking alone anymore. 3 weeks passed. Not fast, not slow. Just the kind of passing that doesn't ask permission. Anna had gone back to work. Press junkets, photo shoots, studio interviews. The world kept moving, expecting her to smile on cue, shine on demand. And she did, because that's what she'd trained herself to do. But something was different. Now, she still wore the necklace. She still kept the coin in her pocket, but she didn't pretend. Anymore, she had stopped saying, I'm fine, when she wasn't. She had stopped filling silence with noise. And most importantly, she had started answering texts from one person who never expected her to perform. Keanu. He checked in without pressure, sent her a quiet message every few days. Sometimes, just, how's your breath today? Sometimes, do you need stillness or words? And Anna answered honestly every time. One evening, Anna walked into a charity event. Lights flashed everywhere. She posed, smiled, waved. But deep inside, the panic started rising again. The music was loud. The camera's too close. Her chest tightened. And then she heard it. You okay? His voice came on, stood near the entrance, not in a tux, just a dark shirt and calm eyes. Anna blinked hard. I was holding it together, she said. You don't have to hold anything. Why are you here? I had a feeling. Anna stepped off the carpet. They moved to the far corner of the venue, where no cameras reached. She took a deep breath. I almost turned back tonight, she said. But you didn't, he replied. Didn't, he looked at her. You still feel like glass? She shook her head. No, not today. He nodded. Double quotes, I brought you something, Keanu said, pulling something from his coat. A small box. What is this? She asked, hesitating. Just open it. Inside was a second coin, but this one had something engraved on it. You stayed? Felt her throat tighten. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, Keanu said. Just keep it for the days you forget. Anna looked at the coin and back at him. Why do you care so much? She asked softly. Keanu's answer came without pause. Because someone once cared for me when I didn't think I deserved it, and it changed everything. Anna swallowed hard. The noise of the event faded around them. It was just them. It's no lights, no audience. No pretending. You know what scares me? She whispered. What? Getting better? Because it means letting go of the version of me I built to survive. Keanu stepped closer. And what gives you hope? You? He smiled gently. Then, hold on to that. Weeks later, Anna stood on a different set. A smaller film. More personal. Her choice. The director gave her space. The scene called for her to cry. To fall apart on camera. She could feel the old fear creeping in. But this time, something inside her was stronger. Before the take. She reached into her pocket and touched the coin. Not the first one. The second one. You stayed. She stepped into the scene, and when the tears came, they weren't from fear or pressure. They came from truth, from healing, from being seen. When the director called, cut, there was silence, and then applause. Not because she performed, but because she had lived the moment. Behind the camera, Keanu watched. No one knew why he was there, but she did. And when she walked toward him after the scene, he didn't say anything. He just opened his hand, palm facing up. She placed the necklace in it, just for a second, and he held it like he did the first time, like it was glass, like it was sacred, like it was home. Then she took it back, put it on, stood, tall, and walked forward. This time, not fragile. This time, not alone. This time, it's full of fire. And beside her, always just a step away, was the man who never tried to save her. He just reminded her she could save herself, and that was enough.